Haaland FC gets cooked by a bunch of Norwegian fishermen. Meanwhile, Jesus has risen in Milan, yet Arsenal's star boys on the move, and Arbeloa-ball is here, much to the delight of Vinny Jr. This is DMAC Daily. I mean, getting obliterated by Man United is one thing, but to back that up with another beatdown away at Bodo Glimt, handing them their first ever victory in the Champions League, are you actually kidding me? Now, I want to preface here to any Bodo Glimt fans watching, I'm only joking when I refer to your team as Norwegian fishermen. Obviously, that's not true. Your club is objectively performing miracles with the limited resources available, and I personally love to see a small town club destroy a state-backed sports washing project. A magnificent hate watch, but on a much more serious note, this is a particularly humiliating defeat for Man City. I mean, Omar Marmoush, who came off the bench today for City, is worth more than Bodo's entire squad. City's team is valued at over 1.3 billion euros, well over 23 times that of their Norwegian opponents. Adding to the embarrassment, these guys are literally in pre-season right now. Yes, Norway's top flight wrapped up on the 1st of December, yet they outclassed a European giant mid-season. Now, the stats may suggest that City were unlucky on the day, but in reality, Bodo were largely in control of this contest. It could have been 5-1. They had an additional goal ruled out by VAR and also hit the woodwork too. Another major point of concern for City is the current form of Rodri. The red card is for many the main focus, but I'm sorry, he was completely outclassed in the middle of the park. I know he's had several hamstring injuries post ACL, but it does look as though his mobility has taken a significant hit. He got skinned on that third goal and also lost 6 of his 7 ground duels. Everyone clowns on Vinny Jr. for his Ballon d'Or tweet and his form somewhat taking a hit since then, but I do wonder if we're ever going to see that same Rodri, because this is not a Ballon d'Or level player right now. I know he's only 29, but he looks a shadow of his former self. You just know a hit piece from Jamie Carragher is in the works right now. In fairness to Rodri though, the same thing could be said about most of this City squad. He can't come in quick enough because, seriously, what is that backline? But beyond that, the fear factor of facing a Pep Guardiola side is no longer there. This current City team doesn't really have any clear identity. This is definitely a low point in the 15-year history of Man City. Staying on the topic of English teams, and the Arsenal machine rolls on. Another statement Champions League performance away at the San Siro against an Inter side that was in a decent run of form. Positives wherever you look. Gabriel Jesus back in the starting 11 in European competition and scoring a brace. He brings something different to that forward line, far more involved in the build-up. A great option to have against those low blocks. Gyökeres then came off the bench and really stretched that Inter back line. A great goal as well. Lewis Skelly and Mosquera were both solid in defense. Just a typical Arsenal performance nowadays. I mean, it's dire times, lads, because this Arsenal team keeps on churning out big results. They're top of the league in the Prem, and I seriously doubt this City side are catching them. In Europe, they've been literally flawless thus far. They farmed Bayern freaking Munich. They're also on the cusp of a cup final too. At this point, we need World War III ASAP. Seriously, I can't bear the thought of Arsenal winning multiple titles in 2026. It was a solid evening in totality for London-based sides. Tottenham Hotspur with a much-needed 2-0 win at home against Borussia Dortmund. Thomas Frank will be oh so relieved. His job is currently on life support, and I don't think he's out of the water yet, just quietly. It would be peak Spurs to see them then lose away at Burnley on the weekend. In fact, I think it's probably the most likely outcome. The duality of Spurs is simply fascinating. This club is in a full-scale crisis, but simultaneously have maintained an unbeaten European home record now at 24 games. Staying in the Champions League, and forget about Prime Zidane or Ancelotti at Madrid, Arbeloa is in the house as Los Blancos dismantled a helpless Monaco 6-1. What a way to ease the tension. Mbappe with a brace against his former club, his 11th in 6 UCL match days, equaling Ronaldo's record group stage total. Crazy work, but it was all about Vinny Jr. today. Booed heavily a couple days prior, he then lit up the Bernabeu, 3 goal involvements, man of the match too. That's how you respond to criticism. The same thing could be said about Jude Bellingham, as he scored 2. The real Slim Shady, Mastantuono, also bagged his first ever Champions League goal. So yeah, Real Madrid are back, I guess? Is that the new narrative? It's confusing times because for all the internal chaos in the past week or so, they are just 1 point shy of top spot in La Liga and are almost guaranteed to qualify for the round of 16 in the UCL automatically. Don't get me wrong, the problems are still there. This makeshift backline doesn't instill confidence of any kind. There are so many injury casualties already, and to make things worse, Asensio was just added to that list. I also still firmly believe that this midfield lacks control, something they've lacked ever since Kroos departed, really. But hey, the early signs for Arbeloa are that the players are on board. At least with Vinny Jr., it appears that way. In the post-match press conference, Arbeloa emphasized this need for a positive morale to perform, saying Real Madrid goes beyond styles and tactical concepts. It is above all about character, mentality, ambition, and effort. That's Real Madrid, and that's the first step we have to take. Is that low-key a subtle dig to Alonso's methods? Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but regardless, happier days in the Spanish capital. Elsewhere in the UCL, and reigning champions PSG have been taken down by a Luis Suarez brace. No, not that Luis Suarez, but rather the Colombian talisman of Sporting, aka the Gyökeres replacement. He's had a fine season since arriving from Almeria last summer. That was his 28th goal involvement in 30 games since joining, as Sporting rise up to 6th place in the league phase. Moving to Denmark, and McTominay Zizou delivered once again, scoring a bullet header. Seriously, just give him the Ballon d'Or already. But it wasn't enough, as Copenhagen rallied for a point. Olympiacos and Ajax both picked up their second wins of the league phase to keep their UCL dreams intact. And last but certainly not least, shout out to my Kazakhstani kings, FC Kairat. Sure, they may have taken another comprehensive defeat, this time at the hands of Travelers Club Brugge, but they didn't give up in this contest, as substitute Adile Sadbiekov scored a classy consolation goal, and he wasn't afraid to celebrate the moment either, doing his best Messi impression with that celly. Some may clown on the player for doing this. I mean, they still got battered after all, but this is the ultimate underdog team, and for this player, it might be the highlight of his entire individual career, scoring a belter under the lights in the Champions League. Life's too short, man. I say relish the moment. Moving to transfer news, and Arsenal's youngest ever debutant, Ethan Nwaneri, is headed to Ligue 1, joining French giants Marseille on loan till the season's end. This move has been strongly supported by Mikel Arteta, who is keen for Nwaneri to work under Marseille head coach Roberto De Zerbi, someone who is renowned for prioritizing youth development historically. Despite making 50 senior appearances for Arsenal and scoring 10 goals in the process, Nwaneri has objectively struggled for minutes this season, starting only 4 matches and has not featured in the Premier League since November. It's a particularly difficult task for Nwaneri to get into this Arsenal side, because in the 2 areas he primarily features in, as a 10 or an inverted winger, the competition is just insane. In the 10, there's club captain Ødegaard, new signing Eze, also Havertz and Marino can play in that role too. Then out wide, you've got star player Saka and Madueke, who's just arrived for a significant fee. Arsenal have no intention to sell Nwaneri, but a loan is necessary for his development. Arsenal's recent history with Marseille provides optimism too. William Saliba's 21-22 loan proved transformative for the Frenchman, while Guendouzi and Tavares also benefited from spells in France. However, Nwaneri isn't the only player headed to the Velodrome, as Quinton Timber arrives for just 4.5 million euros to replace the outgoing Guendouzi. You might be wondering, why such a low fee for the Dutch international? This guy's valued at around 25 million euros. Well, it's because his contract was up in 6 months, so Marseille have bagged themselves an absolute bargain. Speaking of bargains, Bournemouth may have unearthed their next gems, signing Hungarian international Alex Toff from Ferencváros for a little over £10 million. The central midfielder can operate as both an 8 or 6, a much needed profile for the Cherries, who have really struggled following Tyler Adams' injury absence. Fulham could also be set to splash the cash on a youngster, with a £35 million bid tabled for City's youngster Oscar Bob. It's believed Dortmund are also in the race. That'll be an interesting one to watch. Inter Milan have poached Croatian central defender Leon Jekurovic for just 2.5 million euros, one to keep an eye out for in the future. And Barcelona are gunning for Egypt and Al Ahly rising star Hamza Abdelkarim in a deal reportedly worth 3 million euros. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. I'll see you tomorrow.